Okay, Luke in a bad way now. His uncle is dead, his aunt's dead. All he's got left is Ben Kenobi and a couple of droids. But first, we got to go back to the Death Star. Darth Vader was still trying to decide what to do about the princess. Even though he had had her tortured, she had told him nothing. I think I know a better way to get information from Princess Leia, Governor Tarkin announced. It's time to demonstrate the full power of this station. Ooh, uh-oh. He turned to one of his officers. Set course for the Alderaan system. A moment later, a commander reported to Darth Vader. Troopers are searching Tatooine now. We'll have those robots soon, sir. Send in as many men as you need, Vader ordered. We must get those data points. There you go. Luke drove slowly back to Kenobi and the robots. The minute Ben saw the boy's face, he knew what had happened. I share your sorrow, he said quietly. Words poured out of Luke's mouth. I'll take you to Mos Eisley, Ben. There's no longer any reason for me to stay here. I want to go with you to Alderaan. I want to learn about the Force. I want to be a Jedi Knight, like my father. And so, Ben and Luke and the two robots set a course for Mos Eisley. When they reached the big spaceport city, Ben cautioned Luke. This is a rough place full of dangerous characters, and I'm sure the Imperials will be looking for R2-D2. We must be very careful. As they entered the city, Imperial troops stopped them. How long have you had these robots? One of the stormtroopers demanded. 3 or 4 seasons, Luke answered nervously. They're for sale if you want them, Kenobi added. The Imperial trooper ignored him. Let me see your ID, he said to Luke. When Kenobi spoke again, his voice sounded strange. Looking straight at the trooper, he said slowly, You don't need to see his identification. With a blank stare of a hypnotized man, the trooper said, We don't need to see his identification. Then Kenobi spoke again. These are not the droids you're looking for. These are not the droids we're looking for, said the trooper. Move along. Luke couldn't believe it. How did you do that? The Force, Luke. It's a powerful friend. Of course, it can also be dangerous if not used properly. One of the greatest scenes in Star Wars history. These are not the droids we're looking for, right? Kenobi directed Luke through the streets of Mos Eisley to a cantina where the space pilots often spent their leisure time. The cantina was full of scary-looking characters. Luke had never seen so many. Check them out. Yeah, there's Hammerhead down there at the bottom. All right. Ben pointed to one group. They're Corellians, Luke. Very good, experienced pilots. Stay here. I'll be back in a minute. Some tough-looking creatures came up to Luke, itching for a fight. They insisted R2 and 3PO leave the cantina. Luke wanted to avoid trouble, so he sent the robots outside. But 3 of the creatures were still eager to fight and pulled out pistols. Ben Kenobi suddenly appeared next to Luke. As he did, one of the creatures hit Luke, sending him sprawling across the floor. He then pointed a blaster at Ben. Last mistake he'll ever make. There was a flash of blue light as Ben's lightsaber killed the creature. Everyone in the place, including Luke, was amazed at the old man's superhuman speed and strength. When the cantina quieted down, a huge, hairy figure that had looked like a giant ape headed toward Ben. Luke, this is Chewbacca. He's a Wookiee. He's a first mate on a space freighter that may be able to take us to Alderaan. He'll introduce us to the captain, a Corellian. Chewbacca led them to a rear booth. He mumbled to a young man who greeted them. Hello, he said pleasantly. I'm Han Solo, captain of the spaceship, the Millennium Falcon. You're pretty handy with that saber. I hear you're looking for passage to Alderaan. Is your ship fast? The fastest. What's your cargo? Just myself and Luke and 2 robots. We want only 2 things. No questions and no trouble from the Imperials. Yeah, it's a dangerous trip, said Solo, but I owe money to one of these nasty characters, so I'll do it. It'll cost you $10,000, and I want it in advance. What? Luke gasped. We could buy our own ship for that. I'm not a bad pilot myself, you know. Ben continued calmly. We don't have that much. We can give you $2,000 in advance. When we get to Alderaan, the government there will give you $15,000 more. Okay, Solo said. We'll be docking Bay 94 first thing in the morning. Then he added quickly, and now go. There are Imperial troopers in the doorway. They may be looking for you. The Imperials were looking for Ben and Luke, who slipped out without being spotted. Outside, Ben told Luke he didn't have the 2,000. You'll have to sell your land speeder, I'm afraid. That's okay, Ben. I don't think I'll ever come back to this planet. Ben and Luke went to sell the speeder and didn't notice the short, dark creature following them. Uh-oh. The speeder sold, the money in hand, Luke, Ben, R2, and 3PO found their way to docking bay 94. They still didn't see their small, dark pursuer, who was now speaking rapidly into a small transmitter. Their eyes were on Chewbacca. He was waving excitedly. As the foursome hurried along, Luke looked around the shabby docking bay. It was old and run down. The ship Chewbacca led them to looked even worse. What a piece of junk, Luke muttered. We'll never get to Alderaan on that thing. Han Solo met them. As if he had heard Luke, he said, Hey, the Falcon might not look like much, but she's all go. She can make 0.5 beyond light speed. Just then, Chewbacca bounded up. Babbling to Solo, he charged into the ship. We seem to be a bit rushed, Solo said. Let's go. The others climbed aboard. Chewbacca squeezed into the pilot's seat and flipped some switches. The ship started to hum. The small dark creature ran through the docking bay. Armed Imperial troops followed, firing on the Millennium Falcon. Quick, Chewie, yelled Solo. Deflector shields, get us out of here. Solo pushed the quick release button. The ship was off. One of the Imperials shouted into a communicator. Flight deck, they're escaping. Send out the destroyers. Han Solo and Chewbacca watched the complicated instruments on the control panel. Suddenly, Chewie saw something on the tracking screen. He growled and grunted and pointed his finger. Solo nodded. I know, destroyers. Somebody certainly doesn't like our passengers. Hold those ships off, Chewie, while I get our ship ready for the jump into hyperspace. What did you two do? Solo asked Luke and Ben. We got 5 destroyers on our tail. Can't you outrun them? Luke asked him sarcastically. I thought you said the ship was fast. Just watch it, kid, snapped Solo. We'll be safe enough once we've made the jump into hyperspace. We'll be at super light speed and they won't be able to track us. Shots from a destroyer exploded around the Falcon. How long before you can make the jump? Kenobi asked Solo. A few minutes. We can't rush it. The ship might split. Back in the main area of the ship, 3PO clung to his seat and muttered to R2. Was this trip really necessary? The deadly space station, Death Star, entered the Alderaan system. Grand Moff Tarkin set for Princess Leia. Well, Princess, Tarkin began, you've been very stubborn, despite all Lord Vader's attempts. The princess interrupted him. Torture, you mean? Tarkin smiled. Call it what you will. You have not told us the location of the rebel base. Now you will witness the power of this battle station. We're about to demonstrate our strength by blowing up your home planet of Alderaan. The princess gasped. No, you can't. Alderaan is a peaceful world. If you wish to save Alderaan, then tell us where the rebel base is. The princess was beaten. To save Alderaan, she whispered, Dantooine. Governor Tarkin looked at Darth Vader in triumph. There, you see, Lord Vader? The princess can be very reasonable. Gentlemen, he then announced to the other officers in the room, when we finish our test explosion on Alderaan, we will proceed to Dantooine. What? Princess Leia shouted. But you said... Governor Tarkin laughed. You shouldn't have believed me. We will destroy Alderaan as planned. Then we will deal with Dantooine. Gentlemen, make sure the princess has a perfect view. A little father-daughter time there. Oops, did I give something away? There's the beams. Meanwhile, at the same time aboard the Millennium Falcon, Obi-Wan Kenobi shuddered and turned pale. What is it, Ben? Luke asked. Are you all right? Kenobi answered softly. I felt a sudden ebbing of the Force, as if a great force of energy had come to an end. I'm not sure what it was exactly. Well, said Han Solo, I have news that'll make you feel better, old man. We've outrun the destroyers. We're on a straight course for Alderaan. Over in the corner of the room, 3PO was watching. He was watching Chewbacca and R2 play a kind of chess. They were moving strange three-dimensional figures that hovered above light squares on a table. Chewie looked very pleased with himself as he waited for R2 to make a move. R2 tapped his computer monitor, and one of the figures marched across the table to a new square. Chewie stared at the table for a minute, then let out a loud, angry stream of sounds. 3PO scolded him. R2 made his move fair and square. Screaming about it won't help you. Solo offered a word of advice. Better let him win. It's not wise to upset a Wookiee. 3PO began to explain to Chewbacca about good sportsmanship. Solo smiled. I hope you'll both remember that when Chewie is pulling your arms off. Yes, I see what you mean, said 3PO. Well, on second thought, sir, it would probably be poor sportsmanship for Archer to take advantage of someone in a weakened position. Playing that chess game, so much fun. Kenobi and Luke paid no attention to the discussion. Luke was clipping the air with his activated lightsaber. Ben was giving him instructions. No, Luke, not so choppy. Try to feel the Force. It will direct you. Is the Force an energy field? Yes, and something more. It is nothingness that can work miracles. Once you feel it the way the Jedi Knights did, you won't need an explanation. With that, Ben tossed a silvery globe about the size of a fist toward Luke. The globe stopped a few meters from the boy. Controlled by sensors, it could move swiftly. Luke lunged for it with the lightsaber. It darted behind him and sent out a thin light, which touched the back of Luke's thigh. Luke fell. Solo laughed. What hocus pocus? Give me a good blaster any day. You don't believe in the Force? Luke asked as he got back to his feet. Not me. I control my own destiny. I wouldn't follow that old man so blindly if I were you. He's full of tricks. Kenobi smiled kindly and went on with Luke's lesson. Try again, Luke. Relax. Let your mind drift. Stop thinking. Let the Force lead you. Solo watched as Ben covered Luke's head with a helmet. I can't see, Luke protested. How can I fight? With the Force, Ben explained. He talked soothingly. The globe bobbed in the air around Luke. Luke swung and missed. The globe got behind him and sent out one of its red beams. Wham! It hit Luke right in the seat of his pants. Ben kept talking quietly. Relax. Be free. Trust yourself. This time, Luke's lightsaber hit its mark. You see, Luke, you can do it. Ben was pleased. I knew you were like your father. I'd call it luck, Solo sneered. And he went to check his instruments. We're coming up on Alderaan. Come on, Chewie, let's prepare to land. Suddenly, the Millennium Falcon began to shake. Asteroids were flashing everywhere. The sky was a blaze of lights. But something was missing. Alderaan. Missing? That's impossible, Luke cried. Look for yourself. With all that wind energy outside, wild energy outside, I'd say Alderaan's been blown up. But how? It would take thousands of ships, Luke protested. A light flashed on the control panel. An alarm sounded. A ship close by, Solo announced. It was a TIE fighter, an Imperial ship. But where did it come from? It couldn't have followed him into hyperspace. It was a short-range spaceship. It needed a base, and there was no Imperial base near Alderaan. Solo had to destroy that spaceship, or the pilot would report the Falcon to the Imperials. As he chased the ship through space, one star became brighter and brighter. He's headed for that moon, Solo shouted. That's no moon. That's a space station. Turn this ship around. Let's get out of here. Solo tried, but it was too late. A powerful tractor beam caught the Millennium Falcon, pulling it closer and closer to the space station. Within minutes, the freighter vanished into an entryway of a gigantic battle station, and it landed on the Death Star. In another part of the space station, an officer reported to Tarkin and Vader, Our scouts have checked Dantooine. They found no rebel base. The princess lied to us, Tarkin shouted. Before Tarkin and Vader could decide on their next move, an announcement came over the loudspeaker. We've captured the freighter that left Mos Eisley. What does that mean, Vader? Tarkin asked. It means we are about to recover the stolen data tapes, and our troubles are over. At the docking bay, the Imperials conducted a careful search of the captured Millennium Falcon. The commander reported to Darth Vader. The freighter was deserted. Vader, however, was convinced something was wrong. He had 2 guards remain with the Falcon and sent for a team of technicians to recheck the freighter. Aboard the ship, Solo and his passengers had hidden themselves in a secret compartment under the floor. They're smarter than the Imperials. They heard Vader's orders over the intercom and clambered out of their hiding places. Phew, lucky you built those secret compartments, Luke said. But now what? Solo answered. We'll clobber the guards, take their uniforms, and get out of here. Here come some technicians now. Wham! Crash! Solo worked fast and efficiently. The noise alerted the guards, who raced up the ramp and into the freighter. Solo and Luke made short work of them, too. They quickly put on the guards' uniforms. Han and Luke escorted Chewie, Ben, and the robots off the freighter. Hurry up, directed Solo. This way. There you go. There's some photos. Yeah. In their suits. A couple guys guarding. All right. They ran down a corridor and into a computer room. Kenobi walked over to a large computer panel and skillfully operated it. In minutes, he had a map of Death Star on the screen. Plug in R2, Ben said. He'll be able to locate the power unit that operates the tractor beam. When he finds it, I'll disconnect it. There it is. That's the information I need. Luke and Han, you must stay here and guard the robots. We have to deliver them to the rebels, or many more worlds will be blown up. Trust in the Force and wait. With one last look at the screen, Kenobi left. No sooner was he gone than the computer began winking and blinking, whistling and hooting. So did R2-D2. 3PO explained. It's the princess. He's found her. She's on station level 5. Prisoner block, AA-23. They're going to kill her. Han, we've got to rescue her. Solo shook his head. Not me. I'm not going into an Imperial prison block. Luke tried every argument he could think of. But Han refused. Then he remembered Han needed money. She's rich. The rebels will pay an reward. That did it. Luke and Han planned their attack. C-3PO, said Luke. You and R2 wait here. We'll handcuff Chewie and pretend we're taking him to a cell. Pardon me, sir, 3PO said in a worried tone. What should R2 and I do if someone finds us here? I hope he doesn't have a blaster, was Solo's reply. When Luke and Han reached the prison area, they were stopped by a group of guards. Where are you taking that? One of them asked, pointing to Chewie. We're transferring a prisoner, Luke replied. Well, I wasn't notified, the officer said. I'll have to check. Uh-oh, said Solo, taking the handcuffs off Chewbacca. Blast everything. The officer tried to sound the alarm. Luke shot him, but the noise from the blaster had already alerted other troops. Solo shouted, Hurry up, Luke! Find this princess of yours, and we're about to have company. Chewie and I will hold them off. Luke raced from cell to cell. Finally, he found the right one. There was the beautiful Princess Leia. He blasted the door off with his pistol. I'm Luke Skywalker, he announced. I've come to rescue you. Ben Kenobi is with me. Ben Kenobi? Obi-Wan? Where is he? Meanwhile, Governor Tarkin watched Darth Vader pace back and forth. He's here, Vader said. I can feel a stirring in the Force. He? Asked Tarkin. You mean Obi-Wan Kenobi? That's impossible. He must be dead by now. A beeping intercom stopped Tarkin. It called out an alert in prisoner block AA-23. The princess, Vader said. I knew it. He is here. I must deal with him alone. There he is. There's the princess. There's Luke and Chewie and Han. It's getting good, guys. And really soon, we're going to get to a fatal battle, a fateful battle, and the conclusion. But first, before we do that, we're going to take a break, and we'll see you for part 4 of 5.